Hello, and welcome back. And if you're new, welcome to another story time with Dogwood Nature School. So today's book we are going to be reading is called The Curious Garden by Peter Brown. Yeah, so let's go ahead and get started. There once was a city without gardens, or trees, or greenery of any kind. Most people spent their time indoors. As you can imagine, it was a very dreary place. Yeah, so you can see there's just buildings and lots of black smoke. Here's a little boat. There's smoke coming out of him, too. Yeah, that doesn't look like a very fun place to be. However, there was one boy who loved being outside. Even on drizzly days while everyone else stayed inside, you could always find Liam happily splashing through his neighborhood. It was on one such morning that Liam made several surprising discoveries. He was wandering around the old railway, as he did from time to time, when he stumbled upon a dark stairwell leading up to the tracks. The railway had stopped working ages ago, and since Liam had always wanted to explore the tracks, there was only one thing for the curious boy to do. So look, he's walking along, and he sees this opening right here, and he wants to go up. Liam ran up the stairs, pushed open the door, and stepped out onto the railway. The first thing he saw was a lonely patch of color. Wildflowers and plants were the last things he had expected to find up here. But when he took a closer look, it became clear that the plants were dying. They needed a gardener. Look at this. Looks like the plants were trying to grow, but they didn't have anybody to take care of them, to water them and feed them and pick out the weeds. Liam may not have been a gardener, but he knew that he could help, so he returned to the railway the very next day and got to work. The flowers nearly drowned, and he had a few pruning problems, but the plants patiently waited while Liam found better ways of gardening. As the weeks rolled by, Liam began to feel like a real gardener, and the plants began to feel like a real garden. Yeah, so here he's watering them and pruning. Pruning means to trim them up, cut back their leaves, cut off like little leaves or branches that have died. Yeah, look at him. He's just waiting. Most gardens stay in one place, but this was no ordinary garden. With miles of open railway ahead of it, the garden was growing restless. It wanted to explore. The tough little weeds and mosses were the first to move. They popped up further and further down the tracks and were closely followed by more delicate plants. Over the next few months, Liam and the curious garden explored every corner of the railway. Yeah, look at his little garden. It's slowly growing and growing. Wow, look at this one. The big old patch. Yeah, and here's some little or smaller patches that are spreading. And the butterflies are hanging out. That looks pretty cool. Wow. And over here you can see he's got little bushes and little flowers and yeah, maybe some mushrooms growing. Very cool. And real tiny little ladybugs. Butterflies over here. Yeah, the garden is starting to come alive. After spending his spring and summer and autumn with the garden, Liam's time on the railway was finally interrupted by winter. Heavy blankets of snow fell on the city that season, and for the first time since he became a gardener, Liam could not visit the plants. Look at him. He looks so sad just looking up at it. He misses his plants. Rather than waste his winter worrying about the garden, Liam spent it preparing for spring. After 3 cold months, the snow finally began to melt away, and Liam rolled his new gardening gear over to the railway. His little wheelbarrow with a watering can and shovel. Yeah. Winter had taken a toll on the garden, but thanks to Liam's planning, his handy new tools, and a little help from the sun, the plants soon awoke from their winter garden. Look at that, and he's singing with the bird. Very cool. The garden had always wanted to explore the rest of the city, and that spring it was finally ready to make its move. Once again, the tough little weeds and mosses set out first. They popped up farther and farther from the railway and were closely followed by the more delicate plants. The garden was especially curious about old forgotten things. Yeah, look, so here's an old truck. There's no wheels on it, it's on cinder blocks. And here is maybe an abandoned building. Yeah, that the plants are growing on top of and out the little window. A few plants popped up where they didn't belong. Oh, others mysteriously popped up all at once. Look at that. It covered the fire hydrant and the stop sign. And they showed up at this older gentleman's house. Yeah. But the most surprising things that popped up were the new gardeners. Wow, look at all these people that have come to help him with the garden. And there's gardens on the top of the other buildings. And here's a scarecrow. Wow. Ah, look at that. He's walking down the steps. I bet that feels really nice on his feet. And these two people are having a picnic. Ah, and here's a crane. It's catching some fish. Yeah, look at that. They're making shapes out of the bushes. I see a moose and an elephant and a giraffe. And this little kid is painting. Yeah. Many years later, the entire city had blossomed, but of all the new gardens, Liam's favorite was where it all began. Wow. Look at that. I wonder, is this Liam? And this is his family now? And they're taking care of the garden. Look, there's a squirrel. Look at all that. Oh, somebody has a farm up here. With some horses, maybe? Is that supposed to be horses? I don't know. Wow, that's a beautiful book. Author's note. It often seems impossible for nature to thrive in a city of concrete and brick and steel. But the more I've traveled and the closer I've looked at the world around me, the more I've realized that nature is always eagerly exploring the places we've forgotten. You can find flowers and fields and even small forests growing wild in every city. You just have to look for them. On the west side of Manhattan, there is an old elevated railway called the High Line. Its trains rumbled high above the city streets for decades, but in 1980 the High Line was shut down and forgotten. Without people and trains getting in the way, nature was free to redecorate. Over the years, the rusty rails and gravel slowly gave way to wildflowers and trees. And if you look at the railway today, you'll see a lush garden that curves above the streets and between buildings. From grass bursting through cracks in the sidewalk or the tuft of goldenrod clinging to a brick wall to a meadow winding along the abandoned railway, nature can thrive in the unlikeliest places. All of this made me curious. What would happen if an entire city decided to truly cooperate with nature? How would that city change? How would it all begin? Yeah, well, that was a beautiful book. Thank you for joining me for another story time while we read The Curious Garden. I hope everybody is happy, healthy, and safe wherever you are in the world. And I will see you on the next one. Bye.